I got Uptown XO in the building. What's up, man?
What to do, bro? How you feeling, man?
I'm chilling, man. Hey, I appreciate you pulling up, bro.
Hey, thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah, absolutely,
Sure.
man. So, just getting into it, man. Just start off, you're from Uptown DC. So,
Yeah.
just like paint the picture for us, bro. Like, what was the neighborhood like growing up? What was the DC like in general back then?
Well, man. Well, man. I was born 1985, so it's like late 80s, early 90s. Um, everybody, they know about them times. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when the city was like at its height and like um, I say culture and nightlife and like crime, violence. You know what I'm saying? So with all that intertwined, um, I think it was just a good ingredients for to breed a lot of creative people. You know what I'm saying in the city, such as myself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
What like specific neighborhood did you grow up in?
I grew up like Tacoma, Pop, um, Georgia Avenue and Piney Branch Road. That's where I lived at first, and then I moved down the street above the Magnet Shop on Georgia and Kenyon. You know what I'm saying? And Riggs Park. You know what I'm saying? I bounced around a lot, but those three neighborhoods specifically. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, like especially living above the Magnet Shop. Um, man, like I got Hobart to the left, 640 to the right. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a whole bunch of culture. Howard University, both my parents were to Howard. You know what I'm saying? So it was a mix of that, being exposed to that environment as well. You know what I'm saying?
How did, if any way, did your environment like kind of lead you to like, loving music?
Well, my grandfather started the first go-go band, the Young Senators. You know what I'm saying? So then my father played drums for like Gil Scott Hearn and like Michelle Indicello. And both my parents played in the marching band at Howard. You know what I'm saying? So I was a kid growing up at Howard practices and going to every single homecoming. You know what I'm saying? So I literally grew up with like musical legends around me. You know what I'm saying?
Did you always kind of know you wanted to be involved in music, or it took a little minute to
Um,
get there?
man, I did always kind of know that I wanted to be involved in music, but it took a little while to decide what I wanted to do. Did I want to be an instrumentalist? Did I want to sing, or did I want to like rap? You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what art I wanted to choose. Then I just chose rap. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you talked earlier about the different times of how DC was back when you was coming up.
Yeah.
You was pretty much growing up during the height of like when DC was crack epidemic, murder
Yeah.
capital. How did that like affect you growing up?
Well, I had an aunt and um, her baby father, my cousin father. He was like he was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Heavy, and like all that stuff Jay-Z talked about on his first album. You know what I'm saying? Like I already seen that firsthand from being around my uncle. You know what I'm saying? He was in DC Live. He was in the Ritz. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, we used to be wearing his clothes when he went around, smoking the cigarettes out his ashtray. You know what I'm saying? He was wearing Versace. He was shopping in Georgetown, and the owners had shut the whole store down, so him and his man could shop and drink. You know what I'm saying? They was getting gator boots, three-quarter reptiles. You know what I'm saying? Like they was already in that lifestyle. So I seen it before I heard about it in rap. You know what I'm saying? Then when I heard about it in rap, I was like, oh, they talking about that. I was like, oh, all right. You know what I'm saying? So, the streets had a subtle influence uh, uh, on my whole style. You know what I'm saying?
Did for the most part, was you able to kind of like stay out of that type of life?
Man, for the most part, yeah, because it was like I'm not gonna outdo my uncle, you know what I'm saying? But, um, getting evicted, moving around a lot, you know what I'm saying? I remember come home from school, all that stuff was out on the curb, you know what I'm saying? And this happened in like fifth grade, you know what I mean? So my grandmother stayed in Riggs Park, so that was like always like a place I could go to if my mom's wasn't on her feet, you know what I'm saying? So But my mother had my little brother, and I wanted to be with my mom, you know what I'm saying, and my little brother, and I guess living with them, that's what I wanted, but it was like more unstable, which like it made me kind of lean towards, those things you get with being in the streets, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I dibbled and dabbled definitely out there, you know what I'm
What
saying?
what point did you like realize, all right, I'm gonna start taking music serious?
Yeah. Man, that was I was in high school, man. And I remember it was these guys that I went to school with out Maryland, and they was like um, the New York guys, because everybody else we really wasn't on rap, you know what I'm saying? And I was a troublemaker, so like they to not suspend me, the teacher used to be like, look, man, or the counselor Rob used to be like, look, we just gonna give you lunch duty. You know what I'm saying? Because we not gonna just resort to suspending you. That's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Not come to school anyway. So they'd give me like trash duty. So after every lunch period, I'd have to like pick up all the trash from every person table. You know what I'm saying? They just leave it right there. Somebody come through on trash duty and pick up and dump everything on the trash. The last people in the lunchroom was the dudes that was rapping. You know what I'm saying? I started noticing them like, why are these niggas in here rapping? You know what I'm saying? So I just jumped in their cycle. I couldn't even rap. You know what I'm saying? And then the high school that I went to, Lowell High School out Maryland, Biz Markie lived across the street from the school. You know what I'm saying? So I remember seeing him and then rapping for him. You know what I'm saying? And then I end up like being like, you know what? I want y'all like do this. You know what I'm saying? And I I ended up getting kicked out of law, but I stayed friends with the dudes I met in the lunchroom, you know what I'm saying? And like they ended up like giving me my first instrumental beats and like putting me on to being a connoisseur of rap, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what they was on, collecting every Source magazine and just being a collector and a connoisseur, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, they was like backpack rappers, you know what I'm saying? So like, all right, I'm a rock with y'all and help sharpen my sword that way, you know what I'm saying?
So when you rap for Biz Markie,
Yeah,
what so like you just like seen him and you went up to him
man, I
and he was
seen them I just started spitting. I was like, man, I just gotta take this opportunity because back then it was like you could run up on somebody and start rapping. He was already like in cahoots with Black Indian and Mike Nice. He had a store in Lowell Mall, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I spent a couple years out Lowell before I got kicked out of high school, man. Shout out Coach Jones. But yeah, I had a little stint out there and I couldn't rap back then. He told me I was whack. Biz Markie told me, like, bro, you whack, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't no rapper, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I gotta sharpen my skills up, man. That really motivated me to just stick with the pen, you know what I'm saying?